everyone. In the previous video, we have already talked about how to set up a database in your own computers using the SQLite. Right? So after setting up the SQLite in your computer, you should see the database, which is called mntt.db3, right? So if you haven't set up this database, what we need to do is we need to run the program inside the installing SQLite. There is a README instruction how to install the SQLite in your computer. If you are using the Windows, Linux, or Mac, I have already provided the details how to install the SQLite in your computer. After you install the software, what you need to do is you need to run this create SQLite.ipynb, which is under the project installing SQLite folder. All right. So if you run this program, of course, you will need some library if you haven't installed yet. Otherwise, the program should run without error. So if you run this database, there are 4 CSV file I have uploaded for you. This CSV file, the code that I have given here will read the data from the CSV and then create as a separate data. So each CSV will become a table, right, in your database. So after you run this one, you should see these 4 sentences that, okay, table has created and data has been inserted, database creation and insertion completed, right? Then if you look at on your left side, you will see a new folder called database, and inside the database, a new DB has already been created, mntt.db3. All right. So once this database is created, what we need to do next is go to your exercise 1 query table information, right? So this tutorial is just to make sure that your database is already created in your local machine, and then you want to see what are the schema of this database. Okay, so let's run the database. Right. So if you run this database, there are 3 functions I have written for you. The first function lists the tables inside your database. And the second one is getting the table schema. What are the schemas for your tables? And then third one, the function is to see the sample data from the table, particular table that you want to give it. All right. So now let's start with this one. Okay. So I'm going to connect to the database, and then I'm going to call the above function and then see what are the tables. Right. So let's see. So if you look at on the code, the first one is I'm calling a function list tables. You can see that there are 4 tables have been created. All right. And then if you look at the second line, I'm running the df schemas. I want to particularly look at the participants table. So I call the participants table to check the schema of the participants table. All right. You can try to call it like button, status, attendance, different tables. So if you look at this one, this participants table has a lot of columns, all right, 20 columns. And then each of them are either text or a number, okay? So obviously this database doesn't follow the database design that we have learned, all right? So what you could do is we can recreate the database schemas, how to make sure that it follows the normalization and then the efficiency is improved, okay? All right. So now, after this tutorial should have been done last week, right? Tutorial 1 should be done by last week. So now we are going to move on to the tutorial 2, which is trying to retrieve the data, okay? So in this tutorial, we are going to learn particularly select query, okay? In SQL, what do we use is in the SQL language, you use a select commands to read the data from your table. And then when you want to filter, you use where clause, W-H-E-R-E. All right, so I'm going to show you a few examples, and then the rest of example you can continue working on it. Okay, let's start with this one. All right, for us to use the SQLite in the Python's library, here I'm combining both Python and SQL together. The reason is eventually, as a data engineer, you will need both of them. Okay, so now I'm going to work on the Python environment to query the data from the database. So let's start with these two libraries. I'm going to import SQLite and pandas library. All right. So remember to install this library if you don't have the library yet. Okay. All right, so now let's move on to the question. The first question is asking you count the number of participants. How many participants are in this table, all right? So first of all, we have to set the database, where the database is. I call it database path, and then it is inside the database, and then it is called mndd.db3, all right? So I'm going to set this database path, and then I'm going to write the query. This is the SQL query, okay? So the first keyword that I'm writing is called select, all right? And then what I want to do, I want to extract everything. If you want to extract everything, you just write star, okay? From which tables, I want to get the data from participants data, all right? This is a query that I'm writing, it's a SQL query. Now I'm going to use a Python to read that SQL query, okay? All right. Right, so I'm going to read this SQLite 3, okay, and in the path database is inside the DB path. All right, so let's see the DF. Okay, let's run this. Where is a mistake using the URL string without SQL? Okay, I forgot to install this library, see? All right, so we need to install this library. You can see that I have already written here and then I just forget about it. So now let's go to the terminal and now I'm going to install this one, all right? So pip install, go. I install the library, let's try to run it again, all right? Oh, I still have the error this time. Let's read what is the error about. The error is operational error, unable to open the database file. Oh, okay, I know the problem. See, my database is actually not inside the code folder. My database is inside the project folder, so I need to change the path. So database is inside the project, right? And then I need to go back up one more layer because my code is inside the code folder and I need to go out and then go to projects. Inside the project, I need to go to database, right? So let's run it again. See, everything is there. Okay, I got the data. But the question is asking you count the number of participants, all right? So I want to count the number of participants. So I just use the function called count star. Okay, let's run it. All right, so the result is give me as the 100 participants. That's a question number 1. That's what we need to do. And question number 2, let's do the question number 2. Okay, so inside the question number 2, the question is asking you retrieve the ID, city, and state region of all applicants who are currently in Myanmar. Okay, so what I need to do is I need to filter the result with a specific column, all right? So I will still do the same thing. I will just copy and paste here. But instead of extracting everything, I need to extract ID, city, state, region, okay? All right? And then stay from the participant folder, but of applicants who are currently in Myanmar. So I need to check who are currently in Myanmar, all right? So the best practice is I need to know what are the columns from the table. So let me extract the query where I'm going to extract everything first, right? So that I know what are the columns, okay? So let's see. All right. Okay, we can see that there are information given, all right? So now the question is asking where all the participants are who are currently in Myanmar. So I need to check the condition, the country, all right? So the country is, I have to check. So I'm going to use a function where to make the code a bit easier to read, I'm going to do this, all right? Instead of single quote, I'm going to put the triple quote. Okay. Do this for you all, easier to read, okay? So triple quote, all right? In Python, if you are putting multiple lines, you can use a triple quote. Okay, let's read this one. Select ID, city, state, region from participant. So I'm going to extract these three columns from the participant table where the country, but the country column is with one capital, right? Country equal Myanmar. Okay, all right. So let's see what happens. See, these are three information. Okay, there are 75 rows where the country is Myanmar, and you have all the information for the column that they asked for: ID, city, and state region. Right. So now let's go to question number 3. Identify all distance value in the selected column. Okay. So what we have to do is all distance value in the selected column. So let's look at on the selected column. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I will just copy and paste it for question number 3. So I will start with the selected column. All right, from the participant. But this time, what I want to do is I want to get only the distinct column, distinct values, right? Okay, before I run the distinct value, I will show you what you get. Okay, so you get all the yes, I don't know what else do we have, but I'm extracting all the participants. All right, but now the question I just ask you to get only the distinct value. So I just need to put the key distinct. See, there are 3 information only: yes, waiting list, and none. All right. So actually, SQL is quite easy. What you need to do is you just need to use this query format, like very much like English. So the fact keyword will be like select. You are going to select something from and the table name. That's all you need to do. All right. So I think I will let you all try for the other questions, question 4 to 10. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email to ask a question. All right. Thank you so much. That's all for the tutorial number 2. All the best for this exercise. Thank you.